The leaders of the BRICS nations are meeting as the war in Ukraine continues to rage. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took centre stage at the summit, lauding the role that the BRICS nations have played in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Listen in.
Excellency Rashtrapati Ramaphosa, Excellency Rashtrapati Bolsonaro, Excellency Rashtrapati Putin, सबसे पहले इंटरनेशनल डे ऑफ योगा के अवसर पर सभी ब्रिक्स देशों में हुए शानदार आयोजनों के लिए मैं आप सभी का अभिनंदन करता हूं। आपकी टीम्स से मिले सहयोग के लिए भी मैं धन्यवाद व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं। एक्सेलेंसीज, आज लगातार तीसरे वर्ष हम कोविड महामारी की चुनौतियों के बीच वर्चुअल रूप में मिल रहे हैं। हालांकि वैश्विक स्तर पर महामारी का प्रकोप पहले की तुलना में कम हुआ है, लेकिन इसके अनेक दुष्प्रभाव अभी भी वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था में दिखाई दे रहे हैं। वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था की गवर्नेंस के बारे में हम ब्रिक्स सदस्य देशों का नजरिया काफी समान रहा है और इसलिए हमारा आपसी सहयोग वैश्विक पोस्ट कोविड रिकवरी में उपयोगी योगदान दे सकता है। पिछले वर्षों में हमने ब्रिक्स में कई संस्थागत सुधार किए हैं, जिनसे इस संगठन की प्रभावशीलता बढ़ी है। यह भी प्रसन्नता का विषय है कि हमारे न्यू डेवलपमेंट बैंक की सदस्यता में भी वृद्धि हुई है। ऐसे कई क्षेत्र हैं जहां हमारी आपसी सहयोग से हमारे नागरिकों के जीवन को डायरेक्ट लाभ मिल रहा है, जैसे वैक्सीन R&D सेंटर की स्थापना, कस्टम डिपार्टमेंट्स के बीच समन्वय, साझा सैटेलाइट कंसल्टेशन की व्यवस्थापना, फार्मा प्रोडक्ट्स का पारंपरिक रिकॉग्निशन का आदि। इस तरह के प्रैक्टिकल कदम ब्रिक्स को एक यूनिक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संगठन बनाते हैं, जिसका फोकस सिर्फ बातचीत तक सीमित नहीं है। ब्रिक्स यूथ समिट्स, ब्रिक्स स्पोर्ट्स और हमारे सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस और थिंक टैंक्स के बीच संपर्क बढ़ाकर हमने अपना पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट भी मजबूत किया है। मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की चर्चा से हमारे ब्रिक्स संबंधों को और मजबूत करने के कई सुझाव निकलेंगे। धन्यवाद।
Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping also promoted sustainable development, calling for a switch to a healthier and greener world, while the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro called for a reform of world systems. He called for more representation of developing economies in these organizations. On the other hand, Russian President Vladimir Putin lauded the cooperation of BRICS economies to deal with crises. He talked about the problems with the global economy, which he said was the result of selfish attitude by some nations. BRICS is a grouping of the emerging economies, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Despite internal differences, the BRICS nations have stuck together, and this has been marked by an increase in Russia's oil exports to China and India. Russia exported 55% more oil to China compared to last year. It has overtaken Saudi Arabia as China's main exporter of oil. India too has received more Russian oil since the Ukraine war. Russia is now India's second largest oil supplier. And for more details about the big takeaways, our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibil now joins us live from the Indian capital, New Delhi. Siddhant, now we heard the leaders address the BRICS summit. This is all, of course, happening at a significant time. The US and Europe have isolated Russia over its Ukraine invasion, while Putin wants to deepen economic ties with the BRICS nations, specifically India and China. Tell us about the major takeaways.
Well, this was the first BRICS summit, of course, in a virtual manner since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. None of the countries in the opening statement mentioned about this, given the fact that Russia and China are key members of the grouping, and China, of course, is a strategic partner of Moscow. But talking about what has happened, we have seen the opening statements talking about the COVID crisis, how, of course, BRICS is an important pillar of an increasingly multipolar world. And today it was an occasion for the Russian president to showcase to the West that it has allies, it has friends and of course to talk about how Russian economy is not going to collapse because they have markets, that's India and China. Right now, even as we speak, the closed door session is underway, and we know that there will be the joint statement as well. If we talk about the Indian Prime Minister's speech, the focus was on yoga, on COVID crisis and other related issues. An important pillar was people-to-people relationship. So for India, of course, BRICS is an important grouping, but India is also part of other groupings and associations, and has been invited to other important summits as well. In fact, just a day from now, we will see the Indian Prime Minister traveling to Germany for the G7 summit, where, of course, we can expect a strong statement by the grouping against Russia to send a strong message to Moscow. So a lot of dynamics, a lot of changes taking place, but above all, the focus will be on how this grouping, which of course is a very big economic grouping, can of course make sure that it can help Russia and be part of an increasingly multipolar world.
Right, Siddhant, thanks so much for all those inputs, and thanks for joining us on WION World is One at this hour. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.